Good morning. Today is April 29th, 2025. And presently at our commissioner meeting, we have the planning department and those present are Dana Hance and Lindsey Graham. And would you please lead us off on what you've got here, please?
So I had a call from the owner of lot 1A and we talked, and then I said, send me an email of what you want to do, because he was talking about wanting to move an easement. Okay, so he sent this aerial photo, but it's not. I think the easement that he wants to do is this thing in red here.
Bold red.
Yeah, so looking at this thing, the survey review committee looked at it last week and we talked about it. What we have going on there is the cul-de-sac was never built where the cul-de-sac should have been built. So this jagged line he has on here is supposed to be like his lot line, which it is that, I guess.
Pretty close.
Yeah, so the road should have touched his lot, the cul-de-sac should have, and it doesn't. And when I measure the cul-de-sac isn't even a 60-foot radius, it's 60-foot total, so probably a 30-foot radius. That would be this cul-de-sac that we see on the aerial photo. So, right now, he accesses his lot through this little road that's on there.
Through the cul-de-sac then?
Yeah, at the end of the cul-de-sac.
And they want to get rid of that easement?
Well, what he wants to do is establish an easement, so he has an easement. He kind of has one right now by the cul-de-sac, but the cul-de-sac isn't in the right spot, so really, the cul-de-sac needs to be relocated and an easement needs to come off the end for him. And then,
I'll point it out so you know what
Yeah,
she's talking about.
I can see it.
Here's the cul-de-sac now.
Here's where it's
This
supposed
is
to
where
be.
it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be over here.
Right,
So he's driving on this,
yep.
but technically by what was done, it shows an easement, but there really isn't an easement.
Right.
Because it was never built.
Well, there's a legal easement, so.
there's a legal
think
easement.
there's a problem.
That was
But
my
the
point.
other issue that comes up with all of this, when they relocated the road, and if you look at this, the sanitation drawing, you can see the contour lines on there, and they probably could have never built the road where they had proposed that cul-de-sac. So that's why it's relocated. The landowner who I've been talking to is Matt Holman, and he said the road is probably, the cul-de-sac is built in the most logical spot. So that's why the cul-de-sac is where it is now. It
Mhm.
just never matched what was on the survey drawing, the plan. We don't have road plans, final road plans for this subdivision. Haven't been able to locate them. Developer's dead and the engineer is dead, so we're working with what we have here. If we relocate the cul-de-sac further down to where it really is on the ground, which they should have that anyway, so they can go in there and do road work and it's not an issue down the road. If we relocate that, then that starts to impact the well on lot 3. Cause you can see where that's at right now. You shift that cul-de-sac down and it's the right size where it should be. The easement is probably where that well site is located.
Is there a well now?
For minor 3 lot 2. No, I don't think there's a well there now. Megan said that a rewrite could be done on that. It's like $125 to relocate that well site. And so if there's a well site on there, we're good. If there's not a well site, I don't know what we do. But it could be relocated if there's a potential for a site there. That would get it out of the cul-de-sac and then have another easement dedicated off the end of the cul-de-sac to get to his property, kind of where his driveway is now.
Mhm.
And that would clean up the whole thing. He said right now his neighbor's amenable to any changes happening, so that's why it's a good time. If the neighbor sells, who knows what he ends up with and if he could ever get an easement, so.
So we should do it before any of that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in other situations up there in Sheep Mountain, the county has had to go in and fix things. We've had to buy lots, we've had to put in wells, all because things weren't done quite right the way they should have been done. In this case, Ginger thought maybe it was the surveyor's fault, and I don't think it's the surveyor's fault. The surveyor would have taken the road off the old plat, put it on his survey, because he really wasn't surveying the road. He was surveying a boundary line adjustment. That's what he was doing. So it's not his fault that the road isn't where the road should have been. And we should have caught that when it went through subdivision review and we signed the final plat. And we have, information in our drawers that lead me to think that the road supervisor has been out there at some point, looked at it, said the roads were fine as they're going through the final plat stuff. So it's pretty hard for us to say that this isn't our issue when we've got things saying, yeah, things looked good. Well, things did not really look good, and we have no road plans to even prove that they looked good. So does that make sense to you? And do you have questions? We're trying to fix a mess.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out why there's a problem, since he does have legal access through this, where the, what do you call it, the roundabout thing?
Because if they ever have to work on the cul-de-sac isn't in an easement now.
Oh, okay.
So that's an issue.
Right,
So we need to get that resolved. He does have an easement there, but once we shift that, he won't have the easement. So we want to make that connection there.
so.
And the connection probably would be a private easement, not a public easement like it is right now. It would start a private easement off that cul-de-sac.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think just looking at the way his lot is and the way the driveway comes into lot 1A and it kind of wraps around the hillside, he probably needs to put in a turnaround area up there, like where he's building at, so the fire department can turn around once they're on the lot too. So, if somebody got up here to the cul-de-sac, which isn't the right size, at least there'd be another turnaround further up.
Up on his property.
Yeah, if the fire department needed to turn around.
So what are we looking at doing? Does it have to move the well, or have to resurvey? Are we gonna? have to
Probably
survey?
resurvey to get the easement in the right spot, yeah.
So do we move the cul-de-sac back to actually where it is and expand it and move the well site?
Mhm.
And then just an easement through here?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking the simplest would be.
As long as the.
I brought up the same thing you did, Corey, and I got the same answer. Cause the easement's there,
Yeah,
so can we just leave the easement? I mean, it obviously goes to his property. It's just not,
I think it just
Right.
needs to be cleaned up.
so we just move the cul-de-sac back here where it actually
Mhm.
is, leave the easement.
We wouldn't be leaving an easement because we're gonna put a narrow easement there to his lot. It's not gonna be that huge thing that it is now.
Not the cul-de-sac,
No.
but it'll still be. Is it gonna be 60 feet? That's
No,
what-
no,
that's what
it'll
the road going in
probably
there is.
be, it could be 20 feet. It doesn't have to be very wide. It just has to be wide enough for his driveway to go into there.
And the landowner would probably be more acceptable if you're taking this easement and moving it here instead
Yeah.
of making more easement below that.
Exactly.
You'd be
Yeah.
taking more of their land if you
Right.
just made the easement bigger, so. No, I think you're on the right trail. I think if we can do it, if the landowner's good with it, better get it done. Fix it
And-
before we're having to pay him for more.
Right, and J-Bar-T said $5,000, but I think,
For a survey.
yeah, I think we asked around
Yeah.
like last time.
Yep.
Like the Rattlesnake Butte thing, and see who could give us the best deal on doing it.
I think that would be good.
And then we get a survey recorded and that would just clean up the whole thing up there. So we're not dealing with it down the road, or your predecessors don't have to deal with it again. It's just done.
Sounds
I
great.
think this is gonna be a
Kinda-
theme.
And
Yeah.
Megan can do the rewrite on the well, move it out of that easement or out of the cul-de-sac.
Yes, as long as there's a place there that it could be put, yeah.
How far do you usually have to move a well like that based on?
I don't know, it definitely needs to be out of the easement, I don't know if they have setbacks from the
Okay.
easement, so,
Well, it says, it's talking about 100-foot isolation zone.
right.
So the way this shows it, part
It
of
can
that's
be in
in
there.
the easement already, so it has to be able to be there, just maybe not the,
The wellhead can't be where the
Right.
wellhead is at.
right, because of where the cul-de-sac is.
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't want that wellhead sticking out of your turnaround right.
But you also see where their drain field is up here too, so they're gonna have to do some shifting to make sure it's not getting into their drain field site, so.
Yeah, looks like the two isolation zones can overlap, so
Mhm.
you have a little bit of room to the, if this is right, the north.
So we
east.
could move it what looks like southeast probably.
Well, we'll leave it up to them to figure out where it needs to move, but it seems like it could move. Megan thought that there was a possibility of it, so.
Yep, I think that's good.
Okay,
Good plan.
so can I let the neighbor know that that's what we're,
We're attempting to do the well,
Attempting to
the snafu, I think, hopefully we can find a place for that.
yeah, as long as there's not a well there already. If there's a well there already,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to figure out.
Not enough room to move
The cul-de-sac.
well, you think you'd see the well as in the cul-de-sac if it was actually in the cul-de-sac, but there's a shadow where the tree is.
Right, and at this point, we're not fixing the road. At all, I mean, the cul-de-sac is where the cul-de-sac is, it's built to the size that it's built to. If they want to expand that down the road, they can expand that down the road.
Is that something the fire department's gonna complain about at some time? Or,
Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes they just work with what they have too, so
Yeah, getting up there anyways.
it's tough, yeah,
Tough roads up there,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're good.
Okay, we will work on that then. The only other thing I have is, the planning board is going to have a public hearing on May 14th for the growth policy. So we're starting it through the final stages here. It'll go to them to make a recommendation and then it will come on to you guys. So I'm hoping, maybe a couple weeks after that meeting, it would be moving on to the commissioners, depends upon when I can get the public hearing notice out for the commission meeting. We had talked about maybe having the commissioners come to our May 14th meeting. But I think it would be better if you didn't come, since we are having a public hearing that night. And maybe we could schedule something in June instead. So our meetings are typically it would be June 11th. Dan has search and rescue that night. I'm gonna see if the planning board could bump that maybe to the 18th. Would that work for you guys possibly? To come to the planning board meeting? It's at 7 o'clock.
June 18th.
Yeah. If not, we can figure out another.
Good with me.
The
yeah,
planning board seems to be good on Wednesdays, so
June 18th, I should be good with that. Yeah.
What time?
7.
Yep.
Okay, I'll check with them and see if that'll work for them then. And then you guys could all come by then. We should have the growth policy wrapped up and
When's a good time? I was hoping we'd have GLDC at your next planning board meeting to discuss their issues with not having coordination or whatever, can they come to that meeting or that one in May?
that's our public hearing meeting.
Is that all you're gonna do as a public hearing, or are you gonna have more of an agenda? I mean, can we come in before your public hearing and talk to you about it?
Our
then?
public hearing is gonna be probably the first thing on there.
The first thing on there?
Right.
Okay. Is there a way to change your agenda now that you could get GLDC on the agenda before your public hearing?
Well, I haven't put out an agenda yet, but I would prefer just to have our public hearing and then let them get through that process, and then we can deal with whatever GLDC thinks they
Okay.
need to
So
deal
they
with.
can come to the June meeting if they.
They
want
could
to.
come to the June meeting if they wanted to,
Okay. Perfect.
yeah.
All right. that's
But we're
it.
trying to get that growth policy moving forward so we can wrap it up and get our grant.
Finished
So,
up.
well, we still have to do the subdivision regulations, but we're getting toward the end of everything, so.
Are
and
those
our
gonna-
money.
Is what we do with the subdivision regulations gonna change with what the legislature's doing? I thought I saw something in there that.
probably not a whole lot,
A lot.
but it won't, the legislature will be wrapped up before we would be
Next
looking,
Tuesday.
yeah, looking at those, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mako will have kind of the summary of the bills and all of that back.
I remember seeing something about subdivision regulations in there that was changing. I don't think it was anything major, but
Yeah, we wouldn't be adopting them before the end of the session for sure. That's next
Yeah.
week, so. Yeah, and any changes they have that we would include those in there. All right,
Can you get these back?
now you can keep them if you want. Do you want to keep them or?
yeah,
I don't need mine, so. if you can use them again.
yeah, if you can use it again, go ahead. I've seen it.
I'll just keep
It's
them in case we
imprinted
need
on
them
my
again,
brain.
in case we need them. All right.
Before you scoot out of here, we got a question for
wait.
you.
Mhm.
You wanna record it?
No, I think it's good. It's just a position.
Yeah.
Conversation.
That's fine. I just wanna make sure.
Yeah. So I guess you've heard Megan's retiring, so we're trying to figure out what to do with the floodplain part of her job. Is that something you think your department can absorb?
We probably could.
Okay.
I mean, I've done it before.
We're not looking to farm it out, but it's something that she does that
Right.
really could be not part of her.
Not part of her.
Cause it's gonna be easier for us to hire a sanitarian if we can knock off some of these extra
Yeah.
duties that.
No,
she does.
we could do that. Does she have that many permits she actually even reviews in a year?
You'd have to ask her. I don't think she
Okay.
does a lot.
I
think
don't
that
know if
the
she does a
floodplain-
lot, but
The update coming up here is just gonna be the big thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And yeah, I mean, I would know probably more about that than whoever's new coming in.
For sure.
And she was gonna be working on the regulations. Her and I had talked about it, I don't know, a month ago or so. She was working on those, so.
No, if you think you have time, that would really.
I think
help
we
us
could
out in
do
that
it.
department, 'cause-
And then if we figure out down the road that it doesn't work, we could always try to shift it again if we had to, but
That'd be awesome. That'd
yeah,
that'd
be
be
very
great.
appreciated. We're trying to get the junk.
That would
vehicle-
help a lot of it.
okay.
Try to get the junk vehicle part of it out there too. We might give that to solid waste. Just take some of that stuff.
No, that's
so
a
it's
good
sanitary.
idea. That's a good idea. No, because she does do a lot. And I don't know how she does everything that she always did.
Yeah,
Well, and if you take it on and you run into issues, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
I
and
think it
we-
kind of fits with what you're doing anyway.
right, and we have the state is always there to support you with it. It's not like you're hanging out there on your own. You don't have to be an engineer. You have the state support on it, so it's more, the county is more just like processing the applications and making sure it complies with our regulations.
Yeah. Good.
So,
That
no,
would be
I
great.
think it'd be a good
Yes.
thing,
Thank you.
yeah.
You're learning new stuff, Lindy.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that's a pretty tough one. I'll probably do this one. Yeah, I can do that.
great.
Yep, that would help out a lot. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
And I-
Thank you again.
One more thing, I did give Steve 3 RMDs to start working on, so you guys might wanna just start bugging him about getting going on them. He's gone this week, but he said after he got back, he could work on them, so I think we need to keep pushing him or we won't get any done again this year.
Yep, that's on my radar, so
Okay.
the only one that might be sticky is the one with shared maintenance.
Right, and we've gotta just start with one of those just to see how it goes, and that's Moonlight Ridge. I think that'll be a little less stickier than some of the other ones. Yeah, and then Meadowlark for sure we're doing to get all those new lots in up
Yep,
there,
definitely need to do alert.
yeah. And then I
Good.
think if he can get those done, then I'll work on maybe 1 or 2 more
Try to get those pushed through.
and try to get some more done, but I don't wanna do too many because doesn't get to them, so then I just waste my time
We
working.
gotta start all
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you guys could start pushing on him, like after he gets back, then we can get moving forward.
Sounds good.
All right?
Will do.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
lady.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
You're doing a great job.
We're
My
trying.
phone hasn't been ringing asking for.
What? He says he hears about me all the time. I'm
Oh,
awful.
maybe they're all going to him then.
It slacked off a little bit. I think it was the new commissioner thing and they're like, all right.
Was it just Donald?
No, he was just one of them.
So we did get that issue up
It
there
was
cleared
all-
up.
Did you?
Yeah.
it's taken care of.
It's